A quick truth, I dread making these videos. I do hundreds of takes, nothing's ever good enough, but that's the reason I do it. I do it because I have this sense deep in me that everything has to be f***ing perfect, and I need to get over that ramp. And on that note, thanks for tuning in. People around the world are feeling disengaged at work, and it's more common than we think. An August 2018 Gallup survey about US workers stated that 34% of US workers felt engaged at work. 13% felt actively disengaged. And 53% of workers felt they were not engaged. Now, although these numbers have shown signs of improvement since the year 2000, what the actual f***? A while back, I was hired in a senior director role to help a company with their marketing strategy, but also to drive their revenue and profitability. Now, going in, I was made aware that about a dozen people, just under a dozen people, had come into that role before me in a very short period of time. So I was going to be responsible for a pretty big team. So I went ahead and I scheduled one-on-ones with each of them just to understand things from their perspective. So I asked them, tell me a little bit about yourself, tell me about your aspirations, tell me what happened, and also let me know if you have any solutions yourself. And I listened. They told me they weren't valued, they weren't heard, and they were afraid to make decisions. I also found out that there was a huge communication gap between the management and the team, which created a disconnect between them. Everybody felt disoriented because of the high turnover of people at the company. They'd given up hope, but they endured the situation because they needed the income for their families. This time with them helped me pitch two plans to the leadership team. One for transforming company culture, and a second for achieving traffic, revenue, and profitability targets. Now, I was confident that building a plan bottom up meant it was relevant and it was going to be collaborative. Unfortunately, the leadership didn't see human capital as a priority, or that happy and valued people are productive people. So, what would you do? A constant stoic writing is you can only control your own mind. Everything else, your environment, your job, the people around you, and sometimes even your own body, is outside of your control. So concentrate on what you think you can work with. Your own thoughts, your own perceptions, and your own attitude. Now, every morning I remember telling my wife I wanted to quit. If I couldn't create this constructive environment for my team to work in, what good was I? What was I even doing there? My wife replied, show up for your team. What sort of message are you sending them if you quit? They're brave to come in every day into that work environment, and you can't take another day there? Really, Muhammad? Also, you need to do this. You need to come through. You need to rise up for our family. There was a raw truth in what she said, and it made me nauseous. So I decided to stay and empower my team like never before. And I let them know that I only expected 3 things from them: to use stats, research, and ROI to drive their approach, to learn from and reflect on their decisions, to collaborate and make each other feel heard. I gave them tools and placed them in roles that played to their strengths. I assigned them wildly creative strategies with space to make it their own too. In the time I was there, they flourished. They smiled more. They trusted more. And they developed projects that yielded more. Because happy, valued people are productive people. Leadership doesn't happen in the absence of failure. It's the result of showing up and playing the cards that were dealt. Managers make mistakes. But somehow in the corporate world, it's seen as taboo or weakness. I don't trust people who say or claim they don't make mistakes. To me, making mistakes means being on the edge of the unknown, an expansion of our boundaries. It's where we level up both as a person, but also as a professional. Someone asked me once, which mistakes of yours Would you change? And my reply is, I wouldn't. Those mistakes made me who I am today. They are my building blocks. Now, I wouldn't repeat them either. No, I get it. It's less emotionally taxing to quit, or to organize a company party, or even increase salaries than it is to look a team member in the eye and say, I've made mistakes as a manager. It's hurt our relationship. And if you let me, I'd love to hear what you have to say. And then together, we can build a new solution. Here's what one of my favorite authors on the topic of vulnerability has to say about this, and I'm paraphrasing here. Vulnerability is disclosure. Sometimes winning is just doing what's right for you. Sometimes it's just about showing up, or maybe being there for your team or family, or standing up for someone or something when everyone's afraid to. Some people think courage and vulnerability are opposite ends of the spectrum. I believe they're the same thing. We can't take criticism and feedback from people who aren't being brave with their own lives. Belonging is belonging to yourself first. Speaking your truth and never betraying yourself to other people. The opposite of belonging is fitting in, complying, assimilating. No vulnerability, no creativity. No tolerance for failure, no innovation. If you're not willing to fail, you're not going to innovate. If you're not going to build a vulnerable culture, you can't create, grow, or innovate. Life is a journey, a series of peaks and low points. We embrace the good times and then rise during the hard times. A reality for so many folks who are in a difficult place right now. If you're one of these people, I stand by you. You have my most profound respect for making the hard decisions, for showing up for the people you care for. It's fucking hard, but it's also a measure of your grit, integrity, and will to evolve your situation into something better. If you have a story about vulnerability, then please share it in the comments below. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing it with everybody else here, then I'd love to hear it. So please reach out to me and I'd love to connect. So if this story interested you, I've left a few links for you in the description box below. They are about researcher, author, speaker, Brene Brown. It really helped me and I hope it will be useful to you as well. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.
All the blocks need to go back in. Aya! You're gonna spill that. You are spilling that.
Tanya,
Yes.
Tanya,
No, I can't.
do we have any milk? I'm okay.
Did that hair get in your way?
I'm okay. Do we have any coconut milk?
Okay, stop.